Well, we're ready for the news, so we have to begin with the first story. And the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament says government are afraid to take on organized driver unions because of the power they wield with their membership. Joe Osewusu, who was a former head of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, says a policy that required that all commercial vehicles get tested was scrapped just due to agitation by drivers and the fear of government losing votes. He says that policy would have made a significant contribution to reducing deaths on our roads. He was speaking to JoyNews on its Arrive Alive campaign.
Consistently ensuring that drivers are disciplined. Discipline in the acquisition of their driver's license, discipline in the maintenance of their vehicles, and discipline on the road. Because I used to argue that some of the things I see drivers do on the road, no licensed testing officer would pass such a person if he did the same thing during the driving test. We brought in, particularly the vehicle testing system, equipment to ensure that where human failings were compromising safety, machines would take care of them. But are we ensuring that all vehicles do it? As we speak, commercial vehicles are not required to go on the machines because commercial drivers are organized and they can demonstrate against governments, and governments are afraid. But otherwise, safety of you, the driver, and your passengers should be paramount. The rule, every driver knows that you cannot overtake at a place where you cannot see clearly up to 50 meters or more. But they do it all the time. What people do on the road, if we had money, we employ for every 110 kilometers, you have 2-3 policemen there, and then you make sure that we have cameras. If you breach any of the road use rules, you are punished. But we don't have that kind of money. There's competition between building more schools, classroom blocks, employing more teachers and nurses and hospitals, and employ more policemen to man the roads. We should also take responsibility as individual drivers. Congratulate you for starting that project. I'll support you with every information I have. But please, let's sustain and put the pressure on the drivers and the unions to accept voluntarily to have their vehicles tested.
The opposition NDC is warning of a constitutional crisis if the Electoral Commission goes ahead with its plan to compile a new voters register. The party's General Secretary, Johnson Esiedun-Ketia, explains this is because the Electoral Commission has stated that the earliest time it can complete the compilation of a register is November 8 this year, which is just a month before the main general election. He, however, says without a certified register, all other processes for filing of nomination of candidates, for example, cannot happen. Mr. Esiedun-Ketia was speaking to JoyNews after addressing a forum by the Inter-Party Coalition Against New Voters Register.
The election date is fixed by the Constitution. So what will happen is that if the elections cannot happen on that date, then you have already run the country into a constitutional crisis, because the term of the president is fixed, and beyond that January 7th, there's nothing anybody can do. The president cannot continue to be a president, and you don't have a process that has selected a new president. Then you have a serious challenge. So that one is not an area that anybody should be aspiring to move toward.
And the group says it will hold the Accra version of its series of protests today as planned. Convener Bernard Mona says they will be representing or presenting petitions to the Electoral Commission and the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, a move he says is significant for their campaign.
By 6 a.m. we all converge at the Kawokudi Park, just by Gold House, and then we'll take on from there. We'll walk through the principal streets all the way to the Liberation Circle, and then around the Flagstaff House we will pause, and then we'll deliver a petition to the President, and then from there we'll continue all the way to the Liberation Circle and then towards the Electoral Commission. After we have submitted our petition, we will then march to the Ifua Sutherland Park, where we shall then be addressing the crowd.
How remarkable will that be, petitioning the Electoral Commission directly tomorrow as well as the President directly? How symbolic will that be,
well,
as far as this fight is?
We still want to have an engagement with the President to put this kind of presentation that we have done here for Mr. President to come to the reality. I'm sure that the President himself is being followed by his peers across the continent and even at the UN to ensure that he's able to deliver a credible and acceptable elections. By all intents and purposes, it's obvious that the Electoral Commission and the timetable they are giving, they cannot deliver that. Indeed, they want to throw away valuable information, data, and equipment that can be used for many other purposes.
Meanwhile, private construction firm engineers and planners have two options: either to return to site to complete ongoing works or risking termination of contracts awarded them. Now, the firm, together with others, were awarded contract to construct, for example, the 137-kilometer Tamale-Salaga-Makango stretch 8 years ago. Work, however, has since stalled, and this is due to non-payment of some work done so far, and in some instances the contractor's refusal just to move to site. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who is on the two-day tour of the Savannah region, spent his afternoon inspecting progress of work. The roads minister,
kilometer 137, which ends at Makango, was awarded to Michels Engineers and Planners Limited at a total cost of almost 141 million Ghana cedis. This road has been abandoned and is not being worked on, and we cannot allow this to continue. So this is a very important road, not only to the people of the Savannah region, but to the country. Government, under the leadership of His Excellency, the President, has therefore decided to tackle this stretch of road head-on. Accordingly, I have put in place measures, and Friday afternoon we are arranging to meet the management of Michels Engineers and Planners Limited to hold a full discussion on this road with them, and whatever their problems are, they should come and unveil them to us, and we would then reach an agreement with them to return to the road, to come back to site to work on this stretch of the road. And because we want to see the completion of this road, the entire 137 kilometers of Tamale-Salaga-Makango road before the end of the year. If we are unable to reach an agreement with management of Michels Engineers and Planners on Friday, I will take steps, and my ministry will take immediate steps to terminate this contract and to
The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, said government's year of road promises to fix some of the country's roads described as poor is ongoing.
The road system in our country has been poor, and that is why we have decided that we're devoting this year to the year of the roads, so that the development of the roads will not be in the green book. It will not be in the statement by President, but people will see. These roads are going to be completed.
Let's turn our attention to some education stories. And education at the elementary and junior high school levels is free in government schools across Ghana. But the pupils of the Ezele Community School are paying the hard price just to access education. Every day, these children work a total of 4 hours to and from school. This, according to the tutors, is having an adverse impact on their performances in class. JoyNews' Henry Kwesibedu made a 2-hour journey with the pupils as they trekked to school and came through with this report.
It's 7 a.m. at the Western Region community of Komantfukrom. As parents go about their daily activities, pupils get ready for school. They don't have the luxury of using school buses. They would have to endure a long walk to enjoy the right to education. They walk for almost 10 kilometers to access school. We followed these children as they made their journey in search of knowledge. After several minutes of walking, the children are drenched in sweat, and of course their feet gather dust on the hilly and dusty terrain. Sometimes they get left at the back of trucks. Other times motorcyclists are kind to them and give them a ride to school. After almost 2 hours of navigating the dusty path, we finally get to their school at about 9 a.m. Other students had already started lessons. They clean their feet before settling down for schoolwork. 20-year-old Raphael Ashrejoy is a JHS 3 student of the Esdale Methodist School and a resident of Komantfusua. According to her, walking long distances to school drains their energy levels, leaving them tired and demoralized.
My hometown is Komantfukrom. We walk about three hours before I reach to school. But when I come to school, I was very tired, so I can't learn more. But when I go to home. When I went home, I was very also tired, so I can't learn more. I will sleep. They can't come to school because our distance is very long. So they can't come to school, and they don't like coming to school because when they come, their uniform and their socks and their boots will become very dirty.
Those who endure the long distances say almost 4 hours of walk daily to school and back home, combined with 6 hours of schoolwork, leaves them drained. Because of the long journey to school, children start school when they are old enough to walk long distances. For example, Michael Kofi is 16 years, but he is only in primary 5.
If I wake up in the morning, I come to school. I walk about 2 hours before I stay at this school. And after I'm still here, my shoe and my socks was be dirty. So I want to tell Excellency Nana Adudakwa, you should come and help us about the road and our school. We don't have a class, so we sit at the signs. So I want to tell you that you will come and help us. It means that lawyer should to come and help us about the school. Before I stay at this school, I was very tired, so when I can't learn more. The road was very long, so I can't learn more. Before we close and we go home, too, I have tired. So if you eat and go to the bed and sleep.
Teachers at the school believe the trend is increasing truancy, which is affecting the performance of the children. Ishmael Kamal Dean is head teacher here.
We usually don't get 100% of them, though it's unattainable. But comparatively, you could see that those moving from that place, their percentage is very, very less. And as I'm speaking to you now, if you go there, you will see a lot of kids moving around because they think walking from that far distance to the school is uneasy. And if you compare, they spend a lot of time at home before being enrolled in schools. The younger ones, from age 6 to 8, you could see that they will be at home because they can't walk that far distance. So they will be around 10, 11, 12 years before they start schooling, which is very, very uncalled for. in fact. Because of the distance, some of them are not even schooling because of distance, and some will come to school twice or once a week.
Well, let's end the news. But before we go, barring any last-minute hitch, the Upper West Youth Center will be completed before the second quarter of the year. Now, contractors working on the project, Hapke Enterprise Limited, say the site is about 72% complete. Now, with the exception of the VIP stand, which is yet to be roofed, the other 3 stands so far have been completed. Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam visited the site and brings us the latest update.
Government in 2018 started the construction of multi-purpose youth centers across the 10 regions of the country with the aim of addressing the deficit in sports infrastructure. Hapke Enterprise Limited won the bid for the Upper West region and was awarded a contract for the project to kickstart. The multi-million-dollar multi-purpose youth center, when completed, will be made of 5,000 to 10,000 seating capacity FIFA standard football pitch with an 8-lane tartan tracks, tennis, basketball, and handball courts. The rest are gymnasium, boxing arena, counseling, entrepreneurship and ICT centers, and modern restaurant. A little over a year since the construction of the project started, consultants for the project, J.K. Hackman's Consult, disclosed that the project is going on as scheduled, pegging the work done around 72%. 3 of the 4 stands are already completed, leaving the VIP stand, which is also on the verge of being roofed.
Among all the stands, all the VIP, which is supposed to be roofed. And currently the roof trusses are on site, which very soon will be putting up. Then the stand B, the restaurant, that one too is virtually done. Yeah, we are now working on the finishing and some little touches to make it according to specification. The same with the stand C, which is also virtually done. So currently, among all the stands, stand A, B, and C, they are almost done.
With all the block work done, their attention is now shifted to the construction of the football pitch.
On the field, we are almost done with the filling. So we are waiting to see, after the filling, we are waiting to see how we can get the piping work done for us to proceed further, in order to get the black soil and also start the field, the actual work of the field.
According to the managing director of Hapke Enterprise Limited, Hadi Bin Sali, they were expected to complete the work here last July, but they were unable to do it owing to some construction challenges.
There was a big wholesale which was right here. We had to make sure that we demolished that, and that wasn't easy. Apart from that, if you go to the back of the stand C, you will see what is there. These were things which were constructed around the early 50s. Very difficult to demolish.
All he's saying is that things constructed in the past, early 50s, are strong, difficult to demolish. Concrete works. Anyway, that's it. But we also will bring you the latest update as we have the inter-party pressure group undertaking that demonstration this morning. And our own Komla Dome is there live with our cameras. We'll bring you the pictures as well as not only the audio, but also the movie as well. Look, promises to be excited. All the latest update right here on the show. Next, we have to do the newspapers. Myself and Mamavi Owusu Abuaje. Do stay with us.